What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Fandom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I am here with Anthony, Lori, and Mike, and we are discussing the season 1 finale of Shadow and Bone. And this is where all the shit hits the fan.
And there's so much shit that happened in this episode. It's like I at first, cause I know we had the idea first of doing 7 and 8 together, but as much stuff happened in 7 and as much stuff that is happening in 8, I was like, we are crazy. There was no way we're gonna fit that into 1.5 hours or 2 hours, like at all. There's no way.
Was not gonna happen.
And I gotta give him props. The ending on this one was just badass as shit. Like I saw that, I was like, oh fuck.
I think we all were. I was like, oh.
The ending was very Fellowship of the Ring, okay? I mean, come on. It was like, they're all there. Oh, it was awesome. Awesome.
No, I think Mike is talking about Kirigan walking out of the fold with them damn.
I could have fell out of my chair. I could have fell out of my chair.
Yeah, he just said follow, and they was like, oh shit.
And they just come right
out. Yeah, if he wasn't badass before that, he was badass then.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Factual.
Oh yeah.
I would give him that. But woo. But yeah, Lori, the part about them all like working together, you got Malin and Alina, and then you got the crows, and then you have the Grisha, all fighting together because pretty much, I guess, just at this point, everybody is sick of Kirigan shit. That was the best part of the episode.
And Nina was there, Matthias was there. They just all were all the same area. And I was like, Fellowship of the Ring, they're right there. And Nina overhearing Taz and them talk about needing a heart. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm guessing Nina's gonna be in the Ravens in the next season.
Yes, I think so. But
she gotta go save her man though.
I got plenty to say about that one.
Man, I don't know. That seemed like such an awkward pairing. I'm like, oh god, like when they were in the hotel room and she was like trying to kiss him, and he's like, no. Yeah, she's like, here, kiss me. She's like, no.
Well, yeah, he's still having to, get it right in his mind that she's Grisha and she's not what he's been taught that she is, at least not at that point. And then everything that happens afterwards, he's like, I was a fool to believe.
On one hand, from his perspective, he's not wrong. Okay, on one hand, but on the other hand, she might have wanted them to say, okay, this is what I'm doing, boo. Okay, we're going to fake left for a minute, and then we're going to fake right, and then we'll be straight. But she didn't do that. But,
No, he's completely wrong. He's absolutely totally wrong. He's just gone along with the program.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he can't wrap his mind around the fact that, see, this is what happens when you don't have relationships. And we've never had a relationship in your life. It's like you can't get any of your feelings in line and figure out what the hell's going on. She did that to save his life. If she hadn't gotten him captured, they would have killed him. So
I know, I love that part.
Keep him alive. This is what I'm talking about. This is YA literature. It's like you have all these awkward relationships where people are trying to kiss you and they won't want to kiss, and then you have all these feelings all mixed up and combobulated. It's like most people who read young adults were like, "Oh, damn, I'm like that." Like, "Oh, damn, that's me."
I like that.
No, he couldn't see. Okay, he couldn't see past living or dying. Right. I mean. But no, all he could see was, oh, you turned me in or whatever. No, dude, is a difference between living and being murdered. I mean,
but the other thing too is he knows, like, and this is just like what she learned at the end, because she was like, okay, well, yeah, I turned you in, but that's, they're going to do this. They're going to take you to trial. I'm going to drop the charges. I'm going to say that you didn't do this and everything will be well. She was a bit naive because when the guy who was on the ship is like, oh no, that's not how this goes. I felt like the way that Matthias looked at it, he knew that that's not how it was going to go down, because he knew what they did to Grisha when they took them in. Like, they took them in, oh, you're going to go to trial or whatever. And just like she said to him on the boat, she was like, so how many Grisha are actually found innocent at your trials? And it was one of those where he was like, oh, wait a minute. And so I think him being in that position, you know, where their roles are actually reversed, she actually was trying to do it to save his life, but him knowing the truth about what happens when you bring a prisoner to another, it was like one of those, oh no, you didn't do that to save my life. You basically doomed me. And she's naive because she really thinks that because that wasn't her intent, she's like, oh no, that's not going to happen to you. And then the other guy was like, yeah, about that.
Again, instruction manual, user's guide. Hello, people.
Right, but I think her whole thing was it was going to give them a chance.
Right, which is fair to her.
We can either dive in or we can postpone it and try to figure out a way out of the situation.
Yeah, but I don't think she realized the situation was going to be as dire for him as it turns out it's going to be. So, you know, but that poor thing, because he was like, get away from me. Like, oh, I was like, y'all were just starting to bond. But then again, you know, the fact that I can't even remember his name, the Grisha who was sent after her, I'm like, well, you would have to come and find her right now at this moment. It's like the timing just sucks. She was there having a nice pancake. Okay, no.
Waffles.
Waffles.
The fact that he didn't know what a waffle was, I was like, oh, she really is about to school you in a whole bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he grew up literally in Siberia. It's like, what's a waffle? Is it supposed to be sweet or savory? It's like, okay.
Just the fact that he didn't know what a waffle was should have been like, yeah, arrest his ass. Like, get him the fuck out of here. How do you not know what that waffle is, motherfucker? The hell on.
Again, dealing with a different part of the world.
I realize
I will point this out, and this is actually a cute little joke. Throughout the Six of Crows book and the Shell and Bone, one of the running jokes is that everybody, the kids, meaning Kaz and Jesper and Nina, everybody considers waffles to be like a special treat. So if someone wins something or they have a good day or whatever, instead of a cookie or cake, everybody gets waffles. So that's a running joke.
Well, this is YA lit, so we know that romantic relationships aren't ever easy. There are always obstacles in YA lit. Always. It's not like adult lit where they get it on and they're together for the whole book series. YA lit.
And even the adults can't get it right most of the time. So why would we expect young people to?
Well, I'm afraid that if she actually, would have made a serious move, I think the poor man would have fainted at the very least. I mean, come on.
He probably would have.
Cute. It's so cute. But I really feel bad for her because she did try to save his life. And on the one hand, that's very quick thinking. But on the other hand, too, you kind of have to question how good of a spy is she if she's supposed to be doing Kirigan's work all around various places, that she doesn't have the knowledge that this group of people, this is exactly what they do. I mean, you see what I'm saying?
I guess if
you think about it, maybe she didn't think Kirigan was looking for her. Kirigan has other fish to fry. He has the sun summoner. Maybe she thought that was going to be enough to distract him, and he wouldn't think about the fact that she defected or she was kidnapped. Well, he thinks that she's kidnapped because remember, she actually got taken by the Druskella. So, maybe in her mind, he doesn't know where to start looking for me. He doesn't know where they've taken me. And this is the perfect opportunity for me to be free, for me to escape, for me to now start living my own life. Unfortunately, as we've seen with Kirigan, when he has something that he needs to control that is beneficial to him, there is no letting go of that, as we see with him in this episode as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I just, this is setting up, hopefully other stuff for season 2. It's just that those two, it just gets me because I look at them and I'm like, oh, but like you guys said, it's YA. So they're not going to get their act together until like the last page, if they get together then even. So
yeah. So let's talk about Kirigan and this ship and everything that's happening. So we know Kirigan likes attention at this point. We know he wants to kind of, I don't want to say be the centerpiece, but he's about to make a big show of Alina and her powers. So he has her shackled to the skiff and they're listening out for the different Volcra. The crows have gone under deck so that they can start hatching their plan for whatever it is they're about to do, or just to stay alive, because they hear the Volcra and they've been on this, they've been through this before, so they know this is not about to be an easy trip. And he's got all of these people on the deck. He's got Alina on the deck. He's got all of these well-to-doers who have paid to see a demonstration of the Sun Summoner's power. And it's so funny because you start to see the different little cracks in his control of his people, because Zoya is there. She's controlling the wind for the skiff, and she's got one of the other Grisha standing next to her. And she was like, why doesn't he have Alina do what she's supposed to do? And he's like, oh, it'll be soon. And she's like, did the general tell you something? And he says, he just told me that you have to stop the boat before we get to land. And she was like, well, why? He said, to make sure that there's an audience. And the way that she looked, she was like, oh, really? So one, I'm not privy to whatever information or whatever plan he has. And two, he's about to make it so that everybody is fawning over this girl I can't stand again. The look on Zoya's face. Okay, so I will say this. I don't much care for this girl. But in this episode, when it came down to it, when the fighting started, she handled her business.
Yeah, she was with the
and she kept our girl Inej alive. So that's the good thing.
I think another reason that she was kind of giving Ivan the side eye was that, because they're going to where her family is, and
but that wasn't Ivan. That wasn't Ivan. That was a different.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. Yeah, with the one that told her that he had something planned. She was like, "What the fuck does he have planned? Like, I hope it's not something that's gonna fuck up my family."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, because she I think she made a point to say that she wanted to see her family like when they docked, like, and visit them. So
yeah, she's
did.
Like, she was looking forward to it.
Right. So she's like, what the fuck is he getting ready to do? Because I'm not trying to have him fuck up my family. But eventually we see his plans come to fruition.
Yep. But while I don't even know what to call it. They're not sailing. They're not on water. They're
sand surfing.
Technically, it is sailing. It's still sailing.
It just
because they're using a sail to propel them along. So
yeah, with the wind, it's technically
weird.
Sand sailing, but it's still
sand sailing.
While they're traveling. While they're traveling, he makes a small demonstration of using Alina's power. He creates this tunnel with her power where they actually are clear of the fold, and it's kind of like a barrier over them. And everybody's trying to figure out like, oh, what's he doing? What's going on? And the crows down below, they get a little suspicious that like they hear that something's different. They're like, so what are we doing with this? And it's so funny because they're down below deck and they're talking about what the plan is. And they're like, okay, we got to wait until we figure out what the general has done. And Kaz hasn't quite yet figured out what it is that Kirigan's going to do. He just knows that something's not right. Think about it. Alina fled from him and now she's tied to the deck. Something big is about to happen. And while they're doing this, of course, Inej is listening, but she's looking around and she just happens to notice something in the corner. And then she just kind of slinks off to the side, and I was like, oh damn, Mal, she done found you. And she sees him and she holds a blade to his neck. And I was like, are y'all about to fight? Y'all don't need to fight. Y'all on the same side. And then when we realized that, when she brings Mal in front of Kaz and Jesper, and they're like, well, who are you? He was like, I'm here to save her, talking about Alina. I was like, oh, this is about to be a pair up. This is about to be fun.
Yeah.
Because Mal wants to save Alina, and that's what he tells them. They were like, okay, who are you? What are you here for? He was like, I'm here to kill the general and save Alina. Jess was like, wait a minute, who are you? And when he gives his name, Kaz comes up to him. He asks, he was like, you know her? And he says, who's in control of her? The general I'm gonna kill. And then he tells Inez, give him back his gun. She was like, why? He said, because if he's not with the general, then he's with us. I'm like, oh, is Mal gonna be a crow? Like,
I know.
This is where Anthony says, so when you have fantasy, you have to have, a group of people, helping out the main character. And finally, we're starting to get all of the essential elements of a true fantasy coming together.
Yep.
Now we just got to figure out, in season 2, how they're going to work. Oh my goodness, Nina and
Matthias
into everything. Like how
well,
they
we see
them into it.
we kind of see how Nina is going to probably fold into it, because at the end of the episode, she overhears them talking about the fact that they need a heart render, and she's like, oh, do you need a heart render? I was like, yes.
Like that's not a trope. Like we didn't expect that to happen.
I know.
It was still awesome though.
It's that whole, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Like this is the epitome of what that statement means.
Yeah. So all of this means that it's going to take all of them to defeat Kirigan and his force.
Right. Who has just revealed to Alina that his goal is not to destroy the fold, because the fold is the greatest weapon that they have. I was like, yeah, Alina, you're about to see just how
dirty,
yeah,
deceitful, devious,
right,
hateful. Did I go on?
Zoya is talking to the other Grisha, and he's talking about, see, the Sun Summoner is not so useless, because again, Kirigan has used her power to make this little tunnel for them to flow through unimpeded, with no Volcra messing with them. And then, she just says, as soon as we get to town, I'm going to see my aunt. And he looks at her and he says, you have family here? She said, yeah, that's why I volunteered to drive the skiffs to see them. And then she's looking at him like, why? Like it's one of those things where it's not implied, but the way that he said to her, oh, you have family here? Like he knows some shit is about to go down in this town. And she doesn't. But she's starting to pick up on that. Like, yeah, I got family here. Why? Why do you want to know? It's like one of those, why are you being in my business? What's going on? What's about to happen that I don't know about? And of course, on the other end of where they're about to land, General Zlatan is there, and he's got all of his men there, and they see this little weird tunnel in the fold, and they're asking what they want to do. And he's like, when they're close, the orders were that once they got close, I think they were supposed to kill everybody on the skiff. And he says, but this display of power that we're seeing means that the Sun Summoner is here too. He says, are you telling me to kill her too? And he was like, well, Arkin failed me, so we're going to have to do it themselves. And he says, but sir, she could destroy the fold. And then General Zlatan says, then she is a threat to our independence. Because remember, the fold is helping General Zlatan in his campaign to create a separate country so that the regular people, the humans, the non-Grisha, can have their own country, can have their own government, and be separated from the rest of Ravka. So, bringing down the fold would kind of destroy those plans. So, yeah, he has plans to kill them all. And again, this is one of those things where I'm like, this dude, you're supposed to be the general who leads the army, and you don't realize the kind of power that you're dealing with. Like this woman, the Sun Summoner, even though you don't know who she is, you know what the myth is about her. You know that you were so threatened by what she might be able to do that you sent someone to try to kill her. And now you want to try to kill her and Kirigan, knowing what Kirigan is capable of, even if you don't know that he was the one that created the fold.
Right.
It does not look well for General Zlatan and his people. And
did they ever really say why he wanted to kill her? Did I miss that?
Why he wanted to kill who?
Alina, did they get into that, or is it just because he doesn't want the king to get an upper hand? Is that's basically
because remember, the myth is that she would be the one to destroy the fold. Well, if the fold comes down, guess what? The king is coming to claim the rest of his country.
Yeah, that's true.
And they don't want that. So what do they need to do? They need to kill the one thing that's going to help bring about that conclusion, because that's not what they want.
Yeah, well, they can work around that. They'll have to kill the poor girl, but I get
what is Aunt's favorite phrase?
The
white male patriarchy.
Yeah, pretty much.
That wasn't me. That was Agatha.
Pretty much.
That wasn't me.
Oh, excuse me. You just like using it sometimes, but yeah, I mean,
a lot of times.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, think about it. What's the easiest way to get rid of something that's standing in your way? You just get rid of it.
Yeah.
He doesn't have time for diplomacy. He doesn't want to negotiate. He just wants to exert his power to show that, yes, we're powerful. We can handle being on our own, blah, blah, blah. We don't need you and your Grecian, all the other stuff. Yeah, we're superior. Dude, please. So then here comes Kirigan, about to do his next demonstration. What does he say? You've seen what the Sun Summoner can do. Now see what I can do with her power. And what does he do? And of course, she says, whatever it is you want me to do, I'm not going to do it. He said, oh, you've already done your part. I'm about to do mine. And he takes his power and he takes both sides of the fold and he pushes it forward into the town. And they don't have a chance. Like they try to run, they try to retreat, but you've got this black cloud that's engulfing your city, and Zoya comes down and she's looking panicked. Alina is upset, and Alina tries to use her power to try to pull it back, but you see that the town is engulfed by the fold. And of course, if the town is engulfed by the fold, then guess what? The Volker is there too.
Yeah.
So the people who are there are pretty much done for. And Zoya, unfortunately, is looking at the destruction of the city where her family is. The
CGI on this is amazing.
That whole shadow thing, the thing with the fold is
the effects were awesome.
Right. And then of course, Jesper, Inesh, Kaz, and Mal, they're down below deck and they hear what's happening, because you hear the people screaming, that something terrible is going on. And you hear the Volker. I mean, the Volker basically just got invited to an all-you-can-eat buffet.
Yep.
And they're like, what are we going to do now? Kaz, you hear him slaughtering the whole city. And Kaz turns around and he says, so you understand the scale of his power then? Good. Like, what are we going to do about this? Mal, of course, like I said, Mal is ride or die. He was like, look, this is the time that we need to strike. And he and Kaz kind of go back and forth about what they should do. And of course, Mal said the bold move is to strike him now. And Kaz said, and the smart move is to wait until we get across the fold. And Mal looks at him, he nods his head, he turns around, and he says, I never said I was smart. Mal is about to go whoop some ass.
Or he thinks he's going to go whoop.
Well, he's about to go try. And then Inej is like, I'm going with him. And the guys are looking like, wait, what? Inej is like, she tired of sitting around here waiting for stuff to happen. She's like, no, you know what? Because the longer we wait, the more likely is I have to go back to the menagerie. I'm not going back to the menagerie. If he's going to try to start some shit, let me go help him. I was like, oh, I can get down with this partnership. This is going to be interesting. So, of course, Kirigan is upstairs. He's telling them, you know, with the power of the Sun Summoner at my command, I control the fold. You controlled the fold anyway. He's like, and it's monsters. I can move it to any border I like, engulf any harbor, consume any city, take what you have seen back to your home countries. He's like, yeah, basically tell everybody I'm in charge now.
I am the captain now. Look at me.
Right. Well, I mean, he says there will be no war with Ravka now. All the cities will answer to us. For who would oppose us now? And then here comes Mal with his gun, and he starts fighting. And I was sitting here like, yes, yes, yes. And of course, you know, Kirigan ain't gonna get his hands dirty, so he gets Ivan to control Mal. And here comes Alina. She sees Mal, and she's like trying to get to him. Of course, she can't do anything because she's tied down. And Kirigan just makes me mad. Anyway, so he does.
Frustrated much.
The action, it was just good, okay? It was just good. That's all I'll say. It was good. Everything happens. I mean, like all at once, everything happens.
And
I think the thing that really got me is that no matter what, Mal was going to, as they would say in Hamilton, he was going to get his shot, and he did.
He did, and then Jesper did too, because Jesper grabs his coat, he gets ready to go upstairs, and Kaz is like, where you going? He was like, the action's up there. Kaz says, they have the advantage, and Jesper says, only because I'm not in the game. And let me tell y'all, when Jesper got upstairs and started doing his thing, his little gunslinging thing, he's shooting Zoya, of course, she's trying to take the boat away. And the Grisha that was telling her about what the plans were, he's like, the general says we have to stay here. You ain't figured out that Zoya is not following the general's orders at this point.
Right.
Like, he just sent the fold and the Volcra to the city where her family is. Dude, read the room, read the boat, read whatever. She's not part of this anymore. And the Inej comes up behind the guy, and I think at this point she doesn't realize that Zoya is in the midst of defecting. So she's basically like, yeah, we need to turn this around or whatever the case is. And the guy gets an upper hand on her, and we see all this stuff going on. We have Ivan, who is still controlling Mal, and then the upper class people who are on the deck, they approach Kirigan and they're like, look, you're not going to be seen as a savior. You're going to be seen as a heretic. And Kirigan, I guess, does not like that word heretic, because he just looks at Ivan and gives just this one look. And of course, all the people who have guns at that point, they try to attack, and Ivan kills them all. And Kirigan's old arrogant ass just looks at them with this little disgusting look on his face. He was like, I'll have to give that speech again now. Like, really, dude?
Fucking Ivan.
Best villain line ever.
And the way he was looking like, ew, y'all are something on the bottom of my shoe. Right. But so there's a whole bunch of action going on. Of course, Inej is fighting with the Grisha. Zoya is looking, and let me tell you, Inej, this fight choreography with Inej and this Grisha,
yeah,
so good. So good. But, you know, she's trying to kill him. He basically is slowing down her heart. And then Zoya comes in and kind of, you know, she knocks him off the ship and looks at Inej, and she's like, help me stop him. And I was like, oh, team up, team up, team up. I'm getting hyped now. Because at this point, the Grisha has just been taken off for lunch by the Volcra. Kirigan and Ivan are starting to realize that Zoya is doing something she's not supposed to be doing. And then as Ivan is getting ready to go up to deal with Zoya. Here comes Jesper and his gunslinging skills. And then Inej throws a knife and hits Kirigan. I was sitting here like, there's so much going on. I don't know where to look. I don't know what to do. There was just so much going on. And Kirigan looks hurt. He's, it looks like the black magic is starting to go up through his veins and coming up towards his face, but he pulls the blade out and he's like, y'all, it's going to take more than this to kill me. And he starts his little mojo with the fold, and he has it starting to engulf the ship. And I'm just like, is he about to kill everybody else on here? And the Volker starts coming. Jesper is knocked out. Mal is still being controlled by Ivan. Zoya is looking around. Inej is looking around like they're all trying to figure out what's going on. And then Zoya gets hit by one of the Volker and knocked out. And here comes the Volker. Everybody's about to start fighting. And Inej starts throwing blades at the Volker, and she's fighting. And I'm just like, there's so much going on. There's so much going on. And then the Volker comes and gets right in her face. Y'all, I really thought Inej was about to get it. And then here comes Kaz. Kaz is like, oh no, you're not gonna mess with my girl. And he starts fighting the Volker. And I'm just like, there's just so much going on. And this Volker is pissed. Here comes Alina. Here comes Mal. There, her son summoning. She's reaching towards Mal, and then all of a sudden there's a glow of light, and she happens to look up, and she sees a vision of the stag. And it's, again, like I said, when she saw the stag at first, it's almost like the stag is beckoning to her and it's speaking to her, and she just looks at it with this kind of understanding. And she looks back, she sees the blade that Inej had thrown at Kirigan, and it's sitting on the deck. And again, she looks at the blade, she looks at the stag, and the stag is looking at her, and it's almost like this stag is telling her what to do. So Kirigan comes up to her and he says, it's just you and me, Alina. And she gets up. He says, we're all we need anyway, and holds out his hand to her. And she goes to grab the hand, but she doesn't grab it in the way like she's accepting, the way. What am I trying to say?
Yeah, she's not grabbing it like she's trying to hold his hand and be
right. She's grabbing it like she's about to do something. And of course you're thinking about, okay, she was looking at this blade and he's holding his palm out to her and she's grabbing it like she's about to place something in his palm. And I was like, oh, Alina, what are you about to do? And then she says to him, you may have needed me, but I never needed you. And she grabs the blade. And what she does is she stabs it in his hand, and it knocks out the coin that's embedded in his hand that he was using to link her power to him.
Yeah, not really a coin. I think it was a bone fragment.
It was part of the antler.
Yeah. She said, your first words to me were, what are you? She said, this is what I am. And she starts summoning her power. And I was like, okay, Alina, show this man what you are made of. And what she does is she pulls the fold away from the city. Kirigan sits there. He's looking mighty upset, talking about, how do you claim such power? I'm the one who killed the stag. And she said, I didn't understand before, but now I do. You cannot claim what was not given to you. The stag chose me. And that's what we saw when she approached the stag. Remember, she approached the stag, and when she touched it, this light emanated from the stag. That was the stag giving her his power, or basically saying, yes, you can use me as your amplifier, or however you want to word it. But she has that power now.
Yeah, and once again, we see how prophecies are not necessarily accurate, because the mistake was people thinking you had to kill the amplifier to get the power. In actuality, it seems that the amplifier has to choose you to give you that power.
And maybe Kirigan, maybe it was known that way because Kirigan himself had to kill them, because if any of those creatures have the kind of knowledge that it seems like they have, they probably sensed that he was not going to use that power for good. So they wouldn't voluntarily give him the power. So he probably took it in the only way that he knew how to, which was to kill them. And Kirigan is pissed, of course. He gets up, he looks like he's about to use his power. And then what happens? But Mal knocks his ass off the skiff. And they're out there fighting. I was like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for. Y'all, let me tell you, I was sitting in my seat. I was bouncing. You know how when you watch old fighter movies and you're sitting there, you're boxing in the air. That's what I was doing watching this scene. I was like, yes, this is what I have been waiting all season for. I want to see them fight. And, it's funny to say Mal is hurt. Mal is always hurt. Just like
always, without
always.
He it's like, poor guy. He doesn't even give himself a chance to heal. He's like, he always has like some mission or something to go along, and it's like they're like, you need to heal.
There's too much going on. He's down there. I mean, and he's holding his own against Kirigan too. Like Kirigan has the upper hand, yes, because Kirigan is not as hurt. But Mal is holding his own pretty well for someone who has been, let me see, Mal has been shot how many times now at this point? He has been shot, he has been stabbed, he has been starved, he has been beaten. He's just, I think he's doing a pretty good job.
He is. But can we first, well, can we talk about this heart renderer that attacks Alina? And like, dude, she's the only thing between you and being Volcra food.
That's Ivan.
Idiot.
Ivan's dumbass. Like,
dumbass.
And he's like, how dare you? I'm like,
dumbass.
Like, bro.
He gave you everything.
He gave you
dude.
And then
she is
feed the fold.
She is keeping.
He says, how dare you? He gave you everything. Remember your place. I was like, oh, hold up. See,
like,
Ivan.
Yeah, like, bro, read the fold. Literally, read the fold. You see the dark now? It wasn't before because she was preventing that shit.
You see all those things flying around, looking at it like a snack? Dude.
Right. But that's okay because, he said, and I don't know if they timed it this way on purpose, but, I'm sitting here looking at it as a man over woman, him telling her, remember your place. That's already not sitting right with me. So what happens? But the black gunslinger comes and shoots your ass. And I was like, yes, come on, Jesper, do it.
So much for the white male patriarchy.
Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I like it. It's like,
he said, I still couldn't shoot you in the pretty face.
Right, but he does shoot him, and Ivan even tries to, he tries to incapacitate Jesper, and Jesper's like, you know what? No. He turns around, shoots him, and gets him off this. But I was like, how can anybody not like Jesper? He is.
Yeah.
Shut up, Anthony. Ain't nobody paying no attention to you. That was rhetorical. I ain't paying you no attention. Because you can't deny that Jesper was badass in that moment. You
asked the question now.
It was rhetorical. I was asking it for everyone but you.
Look, all I know is that if they didn't have Jesper, they would have been in a little bit more trouble than they could have, fended off because he was needed.
If they didn't have Jesper, they would have made it through the fold on 20 pounds of alabaster coal instead of 16.
They still made it across the fold.
They made it across. No, Jesper actually contributed a lot, and I don't care. Y'all hating. Me and Hanako, we're like Team Jesper.
Team Jesper. I need a team.
I like Jesper. I think that, everybody needs that little foil like him. I mean, it's like he's a scene lightener, so everybody needs that. I love that too.
Right.
Now, what kind of Grisha do you think he is? Is he a fixer or a tailor?
I think he's one that manipulates metals. That's why his
oh shit.
Gun skills.
That would make him a fixer?
That's why his gun skills.
So that would make him a fixer?
It's something else. I forgot what it's called. He's the same as David.
Fabricator.
Yeah, he's the same as David.
Fabricator.
Yeah.
Okay, fabricator.
Because they're the ones that manipulate materials and stuff. Or metals. And that's what he's doing with the bullets. If in fact he's a Grisha, because he's making those bullets do things that they shouldn't do.
Yeah. So back down on the ground, Mal and Kirigan, they're still fighting. And At one point, Kirigan kind of sort of gets the upper hand on Mal. He tries to use his powers to bring the fold to Mal because he hears the Volker flying around. But of course, his hand has a hole in it right now, so he can't really control it like he needs to. So he approaches Mal, who is face down on the ground, and he's getting ready to, I don't know, beat him, do whatever. He turns Mal over, and Mal has found the gun that Kirigan threw overboard. He threw Mal's gun overboard. Mal has found it. He turns over. He starts shooting Kirigan, and then the Volker come and get him.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, that was so satisfying because he's sitting there, you know, he's deflecting the bullets, and he tells Mal, he says, I have survived for centuries. Did you really think you could kill me? And Mal says, I don't have to kill you, Darkling. Your past will do it for you. And that's when the Volker come after him, and Mal takes off running. I was like, yes!
That was very satisfying, like, for real.
It was. Yeah. It was very satisfying.
But before that, can we talk about how convenient it is that the Kefkas are bulletproof? Just saying. Because, like,
that's by design. That's not necessarily convenience. That's by design. No. It's like,
that's by design. Think about it. How many people have tried to kill them? They kind of needed to be bulletproof. I mean, we saw it in the episode. What was that? The second episode when they got attacked. Like, we saw that the bullet, you know, they needed the bulletproof vest because everybody was shooting at them, and then of course they started getting hit with, what was it, arrows or something, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, we might need a little more protection. Yeah, that's totally by design because people keep trying to kill the
I know, but I'm just saying, he shot Kirigan like 20 times. He just stood there and took it.
Yeah, but I mean, he didn't really need to kill Kirigan at that point. Like, all of the noise from the bullets and from the gun would have drawn the attention of the Volker, so he didn't really need to kill him. He just needed to make a noise and bring the Volker that direction.
All I have to say is that I'm looking at it like you guys are. We're 27 minutes and 27 seconds in, and we still have like another like 18. Best airbender sequence ever.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm up here going Fire Nation.
Well, we've talked about the similarities between Airbender and Naruto with all the hand stuff. So.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Big time.
But this moment comes because, of course, Alina is on the deck. She's unconscious because, you know, Ivan basically tried to kill her. Mal comes up and he's holding her. He's trying to get her to come back, to consciousness. And when she wakes, he has to bring up a little, I guess you could say, like an amusing moment to kind of lighten the mood, I guess. You know, he says, don't you dare say meet me at the meadow. And she smiles, and then she sees one of the Volker is coming behind him. And then, like you said, she holds their hand up and whoosh.
Look at the flick of the wrist.
Man, I don't know if she destroyed that Volker or whatever, but here comes the skiff out of the fold. They're back in the sunlight. And, you know, of course, all of them at this point are working together. Zoya is the one that's controlling the skiff, getting it out of the fold. All of the crows are there. Mal is there. Alina, you know, is there. And they've escaped from the fold at this point. And then the next scene we see is them in the countryside. And it's Kaz, Jesper. It's actually all of them. And they're just kind of sitting there collecting, I guess you could say collecting their thoughts. I mean, that's a lot that they just went through.
Right.
And when I say seeing them all together in this scene was so satisfying for me, because I really thought, especially considering knowing that these characters are from two different sets of books, even though they take place in the same universe, but the characters never meet in the books. So seeing them on the screen like this, like Inej getting to talk to Alina.
Which that has to be my favorite moment out of all these episodes, was when Inej is like, whenever you need me, wherever you are, my hand is yours. She like pledges her. If you want anybody to be there for you,
to play.
no matter
Yes.
what, it is Inej.
Inej, yeah.
She
Right.
has
And
pledged,
Alina even says that she's like, I like that hand with the dagger in it. Yes.
and she has pledged
Exactly.
herself to her, and that's one of the best moments I think in this whole series because it combines what you're saying, these two groups that in the books don't ever interact, but yet here they are. And once again, you know how I feel about quest and fantasy. You got to have, all these people on your side to help defeat the bad guy.
Right.
Which comes to my favorite scene right after that is that she's asking Kaz, "Are you going to hunt me down?" And she gives him her headpiece, and they shake hands, and he says, "The deal is the deal." And I was going, yes, yes, the deal's the deal. Why? Because, like Anthony said, seeing this melds it together. I'm sorry, Anthony, I didn't mean to jump on.
Oh,
that.
no, that's fine.
Yeah, but at this point, Jesper says, plus it's bad form to try to kidnap someone who just saved your life.
Right.
So, but
I don't know. I think given an opportunity, I think Kaz might try it sometime down the line.
I don't think so. But
I love this.
Well, they had to figure out a way that he can go back and keep his club. So he needed the money from the jewels.
Not only that, but also to, I mean, that's a way to secure Inej's freedom too.
Yeah.
Because he would have lost Inej and I forgot the name of his club.
Crow's Nest, yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna lose that too.
And it's so funny. Do you see the way Inej is looking at Kaz after he has this exchange with Alina? She's like, "There's some hope for you yet."
Yep, she's got that look on her face, and Jesper's just smiling, thinking, "How much is my cuts? I can go."
Yeah, he's looking at that like, I wonder how hard it would be to pick his pocket so he can go gamble.
Man.
That's the look on his face.
And then, of course, Zoya is going to go back to the town to see what's happened to her family. And it's so funny because Alina gives her a hug and she's like, I still don't like you.
Zoya is interesting because I can kind of fit everybody into, a role in the fantasy hierarchy, but I can't really think of one for Zoya. You rarely have like a character that is inherently on the bad side automatically switch. So maybe she won't switch all the way, but maybe she'll be an ally in some form or fashion.
Yeah. But Alina, she starts looking at the fold and Mal looks at her. He was like, look, I know that look, you're staring down your new bully. And she says, Kirigan turned on his own people and he grabs her hand and he was like, you're not ready yet. And she was like, neither were they. She has to feel like some kind of guilt, even though he tells her you're not to blame. But she says, who do you think the world will blame? It's just like she said to Kirigan all the way towards the beginning. She was like, if I don't bring down the fold, they're going to make me the new heretic. And think about it. Most of the people who knew what Kirigan did and what happened, they're not alive to tell. And Jesper, Kaz, Inej, Zoya, they really can't say anything, because for them to say that they were part of whatever happened or that they were there, that would mean they would have to give up information about Alina, where she might be, where she could have gone. And that was one of the reasons why Alina gave Kaz her headdress, because she's like, this is not a gift. This is for you to keep quiet about who I am. And she still wants to try to break the fold down. But again, like Mal told her, you're not ready yet. Like she just expended a whole bunch of effort and energy trying to take down what she could, getting the fold away from the city so that it's not engulfing its citizens. She's weak. She's emotionally you have a lot to deal with. The person that you thought was going to have your back, the person that you thought was trying to help the country, turns out to be a liar, turns out to be this huge narcissist, this huge misogynist. You've got antlers in your. She's got a lot to deal with. She's not ready to do this now. She needs to take some time to recoup. She needs to take some time to recover, and that's what Mal tells her. He was like, "You're not ready yet, but when you're ready, we will come back." So, and then, like I said, Zoya has to try to figure out where she's gonna go, and like she says, she needs to know how much of the city is left. And Inej tells her, or I think Cass tells her, what does he say? It's not a good idea to go looking for the dead. What you may see may haunt you for days. But she think about it. Zoya really doesn't have anywhere else to go now, because she did turn on Kirigan. And as far as they know, Kirigan is gone. She can't go back to the palace. So she's just kind of, like you said, Anthony, she doesn't fit in a particular box. And I don't know.
She's going to be a wild card. She's going to be
She
there.
is.
Yeah, she's going to be that wild
really,
card.
Is there anybody left alive that knows that she betrayed Kirigan?
Kirigan.
But everybody thinks that he's dead.
Well,
so.
yeah.
But it's like, so as far as they know, there's really nobody else that knows what happened. So, technically, she hasn't done it. Without anybody pointing a finger at her, she can go wherever she wants to. Well, no, she can't, because she can't go where General Zlatan was, because they're going to associate her with Kirigan putting a fold over their city. So she really can't. It's not prudent for her to do that, because they'll still associate her with him. And even though she tried to say
Kirigan is in hostile territory too.
But Kirigan has Volker.
Yeah,
so I don't think
Kirigan will be
about that. But the other thing about Zlatan too is, you have to think about it. He was allowing the Druskella to kidnap Grisha, so she wouldn't be safe there anyway, just because of the fact that she's Grisha.
Right.
And she does give Alina some advice. She says, saints become martyrs before they become heroes. So stay alive. Because she tells her, she says, you can't stay in Ravka. They will hunt you down. And so when she says that, she was like, stay alive. And Mal, of course, he says, they'll have to get through me first. And she says, you need more than bullets and bravado to survive the people hunting you now. You know what? I'm going to be honest, though. I'm not too much worried. Because like we said, and here's the other thing too, the other thing making me think that Mal, he has to be some kind of Grisha, because think about it, all the injuries that he has had and everything his body has taken, he has not been, except for when Kirigan captured him, he was healed by the healers. But Mal has some he's very I don't know, he's very durable.
So
it's almost as if he's not quite a heart render or a healer, but sort of like he's got like a Wolverine effect almost, because remember they were trying to patch him up when he went after Alina, and he never went back, and he's still healed. So it could be a reverse heart render Taylor.
I still think he may not be Grisha, but once again, he may be. I know I repeated this before, and I'm going to repeat myself again, but in a lot of stories where magic, air quotes, has sort of gone away or not being practiced, when it starts coming back, or if someone that was prophesized, like the Sun Summoner, comes back, then things that had existed before start coming back. So it's possible that he may not be Grisha, but he may be something else. Because that's why he's such a good tracker. Okay. He can track anything that has a heartbeat. And that's not really being a heart render. That's just an ability that he has. Even like Inej, because Inej is not a Grisha, but she can go toe-to-toe with the best of them. And she has nothing other than her skills. And then watching her do the acrobatics on the, twirling around, these could be things that have come back to the forefront because whoever was prophesized or whatever prophecy needs to be fulfilled, these people are now around. They're back. And I can't take credit for that. That happens in a lot in David Eddings' books, the Belgariad and the Malorian.
Right.
And it was also something, if you read the Game of Thrones, the Song of Fire and Ice books, when the dragons came back, magic starts to come back as well.
I think that happens in a lot. It's kind of that. Yeah, it's kind of
Valdemar too.
Once what once was will be again. That
sort of thing. And I think I would never go as far saying that he's not Grisha, but I think he's something other than Grisha. He might even be one of the things that may have attracted him to Alina is he might be, I think one of you guys mentioned before, he might be a human amplifier.
Yeah.
Just like
right.
Kirigan.
I think I said that last night. Yeah.
And on top of that,
which is entirely possible.
Top of that, he has this amazing, unprecedented tracking ability. That, and I think, and again, I just Inez, all the crows, they may have gotten together because they are meant to be together, because they have all these special skills that were gone, but they have come back.
It's almost kind of like whatever that source is, if they are magical or if they are gifted, let's just say it that way, like whatever that is that's in them, that common thread, it's like it's drawing them to each other.
Right. That's why they're being drawn together. Because even looking at Matthias, like it seems they have made him seem to be like much larger than most of the other characters. Like even among the Druscella, he seems to be a little bit more skilled than the rest of them at what he does. And that he may also be one of those people, because like I said, this is not a theory, but all these people are needed to be together in order to overcome or to fulfill the prophecy, to get rid of the fold and to beat Kirigan. And Matthias seems like he might be one of those people they need, because they're going to need some muscle. And Mal is as good as Mal is not like Matthias,
Right.
And the thing is that, just a quick little segue, Matthias, in the book, it says that he's a little bit more dedicated to their quote unquote mission / religion, because it involves the whole white wolf thing that they've got. They're saying that the book says he's exceptional in every single way. To the point where he actually judges the head of his quote unquote order for not being pious and dedicated enough to the cause. So I think you're right there. I'm excited because I missed something the first viewing, and I saw something watching it again yesterday, and I think, and I'm not going to say, but I think I know which direction season 2 is going to go, and I'm sort of excited for it.
Okay.
As long as that direction includes Inez, I'm all for it.
Oh, it does. It does. It's just they actually told you what season 2 is going to be, but I won't say where they said it. So
it's interesting. It will be interesting to see what Inez does in the second season, because as they're leaving, getting ready to head to the boat so they can all kind of escape and go back to Ketterdam, she is talking to Kaz, and she says, at first you berate me for letting her go, and now you're doing the same. What's your angle? And he says, there's no angle. He said, but I made a promise to you that you would not go back to the menagerie, and one of these jewels will make sure that happens. And she was like, that's all well and good, but I think that she starts kind of making it seem like she's going to go with Alina and Mal. She was like, well, she needs me. He was like, no, we need you. I need you. And I was like, oh, so finally you said it in personal terms instead of it just being generic. No, we need you. You got to stay with us. No, I need you. And she looks at him. She's like, okay. She was like, I want to see the look on Helene's face when you buy me out. And then after that, we'll see. So, and the look on his face after she said that and walked off, he looked like, okay, like it's one of those, like, you know what? I've held myself close to the vest for too long, and now I'm gonna have to work for it. I'm gonna have to work to make her stay.
I think you're 100% correct on that, and I like again they're so young. It's so cute because neither one of them want to admit that they like each other. You know, it's like, no, I don't particularly like you. Oh well, wait a minute, maybe I do. You know, it's
even though it's
cute.
painfully obvious how they feel about each other. Like,
oh God, yes, definitely. I mean,
but we have a lot of that in this show. Remember?
Oh yeah, this show is a prime example of this actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned it earlier, but I totally forgot that Nina was in that scene at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I totally forgot.
Because because they all end up on the same ship that's taking Matthias to whatever cell he's about to go rot in, as he says. She's on the ship. Then the crows are on the ship, and then you see Alina and Mal on the ship, and I was like, they're all together.
So she's gonna figure out a way to get them to help her break Matthias out.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're all gonna help each other. But it's so funny. Jesper says, so what do we learn? People with the trains are evil. You can't kidnap a human sunbeam, and maybe, just maybe, greed is a poor motivator.
Oh, it's awesome.
True wealth is the friends you make along the way. And then there's just like, I might just be impressed. He's like, I'm talking of Milo, of course.
He really has an unnatural attachment to that goat.
Yes, he does. Yeah. But I'm telling you right now, if we get to season 2 and Milo pops up, I'm just going to laugh so hard. It's going to be like, really? Okay.
They'll probably, yeah.
They'll do it as a fun thing. But I love this. And they mentioned Pekka. Watched it right now. They're talking about Pekka. They're talking about the thing. I love, like I said, Fellowship of the Ring. Because what are the odds that they all get on the exact same ship?
Yeah, right.
That's the only ship they have.
Right. But like you said, they're sitting here. They got to worry about Dreesen. They got to worry about Pekka Rollins. And they're like, okay, so we're going back to them without a sun summoner. What are we going to do? Jesper says, you're not going to let us go back into a death trap. I'm sure you have a plan, right? And Cass says, yeah, I have a plan. And just like at the beginning, we're going to need a heart render. And then that's when you see Nina's eyes kind of perk up. And Jesper says, someone we know. And he's like, nope. For this to work, it's going to have to be someone that neither of them know, someone desperate for work with loyalties only to us. And of course, like we said, Nina's sitting there listening like, okay. And then, of course, they overhear somebody talking. They're talking about a wine shipment that's late. And the guy's like, look, have a heart. Nova Kerbisk is in ruins right now because of what happened. He said, you know, their sun saint is dead. And then that's when Nina kind of asked them, he's like, excuse me, is what he said true? Is the sun summoner really gone? And Cass says, I don't know if she's dead, but she is a saint. And then Mesh turns and looks like, what? Huh? Okay. And then we see Alina and Mal at the top of the ship. And I was like, yay, they're all on the same ship. But it's so interesting too, because I feel like there is, I don't know. So the way that they're walking on the ship, when they come up, there is a young lady standing off to the side and she's very well dressed. And for some reason, the camera seems to focus on her. I don't know who she is, and I don't know if it just happened to seem that way, but she's very much in the forefront of the shot, along with Alina and Mal, and then everybody else is kind of in the background. I was like, I wonder, is this going to be somebody important for the next episode, or am I just looking too much into this?
Well, I saw that too, and there is a crow that is missing from the series. There's the 6th person. They haven't brought the person in. They haven't referenced the person. So I'm wondering if they flipped it and they made that person her.
Okay.
But I don't know because the person is a guy. But they flipped stuff. So it could be that whatever that person is, that's her. As far as I know, all of the crows, they're all there. Zoya actually does make an appearance in 6 of Crows briefly. So she is the only one that makes it over from Shell and Bone, because by the time it happens, Alina and Mal are both long dead, because there's a significant amount of time that goes between the two books. But I don't know. That's a good question because they did focus in on her.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they need one more component of the Crows to do what I think they're going to do for season 2, and this person is actually really important.
Okay.
Huh.
And then of course, there's a closing shot of Mal and Alina talking, and there's a guy who walks past them and he says something about calling them ghosts, about all these ghosts on the ship or something, and Alina doesn't understand the reference. She's like, did he just call us ghosts? And Mal says, yeah, we're survivors. That's what they call us. He was like, but we are going to have to be ghosts for a while because Zoya is right. The whole world is going to be looking for you. And she looks back and she says, I know some people who would like those odds. And then of course you see the Crows looking at her, and then Mal says, is you and me together again, just like old times. I like those odds too. And we get a flashback of her and Mal running through the meadow, holding hands, running. And she says, and when I'm strong enough, we'll come back together and we'll tear it down. And as she's saying, and tear it down, we get this aerial shot of the fold, and it says, now that the Darkling is dead. And when she said that as this shot, I was like, oh, you're gonna tell me he's alive. And then of course we see, like, very faintly, kind of looking like an ant crossing, we see Kirigan come out of the fold. He is battered, he is bruised, he is not looking as impeccable as he usually does, but he is up, he is walking, he is very much alive. And he turns to the fold and he says, follow. And then the Volcra walk out of the fold, like,
Gonna fell out my chair.
And you know what? No, that's not even the Volcra. Those are some kind of shadow monsters. They're like,
it's like it crawled at first, then it stood up and walked upright. Like,
right.
that's different. That's different. Like,
oh yeah. See, I think, like I said, I could have fell out my chair when I saw that. I was like,
I was like, oh shit.
But when that happened, I was like, they have to give us a season 2. You cannot end a show like this and then be like, oh, there's no season 2. I would have been so mad. But this show, yeah, I'm like all in. I'm just waiting for some free time so that I can start reading these books, because I want to get a little bit more, like, having to kind of sort of put a muzzle on Lori about the book stuff. Because we don't want to talk about the book stuff and what it might spoil. It has been, I know it's been disappointing, Lori. We're going to talk about the book stuff soon. I do plan on reading it, and we've talked about it before, that we're going to do a show about the books, and I do still want to do that. But yeah, this show, it was way more than I expected from it. And it's so funny that this show was not even on my radar until I saw that promo with the doggone stag. And I was like, oh, I don't know what this is, but I'm in.
They did such a good job. I mean, like I said, they did a lot of work. First thing they did is they combined not one, but 2 books of the series together to flesh it out and give you a better season. Second, it has a huge readership. And the readership was like, yeah, well, you just made it better. Now, I've read about a half of Six of Crows, and I'm going to finish it and go into the others. But from what I can tell you, they did a phenomenal job, because the way that they chose and flipped the diversity of Alina and certain other people, the way that they included Jesper being gay, the fact that you've got people who are of diverse racial backgrounds, the fact that you have young versus not so much old, but you've got this huge smorgasbord of people. And that was one of the things, because in the book, one of the problems that Leah Burgo had is that in Shell and Bone, it was all white. And people were like, okay, but they didn't like it because it was all white. Because they were like, we keep saying this over and over and over again. So when they brought the inclusiveness in, she was like, yeah. And she's actually wrote an apology a few years ago, apologizing for it being so one note in the books, which I thought was interesting, because you don't usually get fantasy science fiction writers saying that and apologizing. The other thing that I am just blown away is the fact that they really had a good writer's room, because the writer's room, except for one person who's not there, the writer's room literally gave you everything. If you don't pick up a single book, you don't need to, because it was so easy to follow.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was nearly a perfect YA story.
Yeah. It was really good. It was very enjoyable. There was not a lot about this show that I didn't like. If anything, I mean, the pacing was good. The characters were great. The sets, the CGI, the costumes. It was, yeah, I'm like all in for this show.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we have to wait a whole year for season 2. But it's fine. It's fine. I'll wait. And like I said, that will give me some time to read the books and to kind of fully immerse myself in this world. So bring it on.
Yeah.
So Cursed is gone. Second season of Shell and Bone. Is there anything that is comparable in the meantime to watch?
I have to look and get back to you on that, because I don't know right now.
I gotta admit, I was kind of interested, but I was kind of skeptical about this show. But I gotta admit, I really like this show. I like the show way more than I thought I was gonna like it. Because I thought it was just gonna be like, like young adult fiction. Like, oh god, like this is gonna be. I just didn't think it was gonna be my cup of tea. But I really like this show. It held my interest. The unexpected twists and turns were awesome. I love a lot of the characters, and it really left a lot of room to grow. Like, it didn't really limit itself. Where it's like you're like, why should this go on? Because you've already said a lot that you probably don't need to have anything else anywhere else to go. But now it's like it really opened itself up to keep going for a minute. So
yeah,
I'm pretty impressed.
I think for me, I was the trailer, seeing the stag got me interested, and I won't say I love the show, but I liked a lot of the fantasy aspects of it, and I need a good fantasy series to watch, and it scratched that itch, And I liked a couple of the characters, but I thought the ending was well worth the wait. Like the last episode, everything paid off, and that was impressive too.
That's okay. We're gonna make you Team Jesper.
Oh yeah.
No,
we're gonna convert you.
Not likely.
It be a conversion, but so
unless he has a variant somewhere that is.
Oh geez.
You know what? And on
crossing
that
the
note,
streams.
And on that note, that's it for our show. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fandom Hybrid. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and other major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.